Good evening, everybody, and welcome. Take this time to say thank you for coming out. At this time, we're going to start our regular scheduled board meetings. I'm going to turn the floor over to you, Dr. Bleachers.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to say good evening, board, and good evening to everybody who's here with us at the central office for the Fannin County Board of Education, as well as those folks who are watching us online on Rebel TV. Good evening to you as well. Our second item on the agenda after call to order is the invocation. I'd like to ask everybody to please rise, and I will turn it over to Deacon Robert Ensign. Mr. Ensign.
Let's pray. Father God, thank you so much, Lord, for what you do for us each and every day, Lord, and all the blessings you bestow upon us. And I just pray that you will guide us, Lord, through our meeting, that you will give our board members wisdom, Lord, as they move forward in all things. And Lord, I just pray that you put your hedge of protection around all of our schools, our buses, our staff, our kids, our drivers, everybody, Lord, throughout this year. Lord, we just thank you for what you're going to do for us, and we're going to praise you and all that we do. In your name we pray.
Amen. Thank you, Mr. Ensign. And next up is the pledge to the flag. I want to ask Fannin County Deputy Sheriff and School Resource Officer Thomas Cade to come up in front and lead us in the pledge. Mr. Cade.
Amen. Petition, salute, pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. Everybody have a seat. Number 4 on the agenda is to approve the consent agenda, and that's comprised of 2 parts. The first is to approve tonight's agenda, and the second is to approve minutes from past meetings. So if we can go ahead and open those up, Mr. Translator. Okay, we have 3 sets of minutes in here, and presented before you for approval is the July 26th, 1 p.m. call meeting. And then the regular meeting on July 8th at 6 p.m. There we go. We're back on. Okay, and our final set is from that same date for the call meeting at 5:30. Thank you, Mr. Ensign. Mr. Chair, I recommend approval of items of consent agenda as presented.
Will the chair have that motion?
Move to accept that.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda is actually a special recognition. For that, I'm going to ask our Director of Nutrition and Wellness, Martha Williams, if she'll come up to the front and tell us, I guess, first about, you want to speak about the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program?
Certainly. I'd be glad to do that.
And I think you've got an attachment there, too.
I do. So this year, all of our elementaries applied to the State Department of Education to be part of the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program, which is a grant. And we were lucky enough to receive the grant for all 3 elementaries. And this will allow us to offer fresh fruits and vegetables to all of our students outside of just a normal lunchroom setting. They get to experience new things that we may not be able to typically provide in our lunchrooms. So we're very excited to have that and that opportunity. We just want to make sure you guys know about it. We should be starting that very soon.
Thank you. The next one is an award.
It is. So the Georgia League of Hungry Heroes has awarded the Fannin County School Nutrition Team an award because we were able to continue serving our students and keeping hunger out of our schools during the pandemic. And so I would like to accept the award on behalf of our nutrition ladies who've done an amazing job. I'm so proud of these women. And also of Ms. Candy Sisson and her wonderful leadership in our department.
Okay. And I actually have the award here, board. And so, Ms. Williams, I'll present this to you, and board, we'll take a photograph. There you go. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. The next item on the agenda is the school governance team update, number 6. And I'm going to ask Deputy Superintendent Sarah Rigdon to come up to the podium and give us an update. Good evening.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, board members. I wanted to give you a quick overview of what was going on in Fannin County with our SGTs through the month of July. July, of course, is our first meeting for the school year for SGTs. And most of the SGTs had a very routine meeting in July. There are a lot of housekeeping type things that happen at the beginning of a new school year. Mr. Inslee, you'll just go ahead and scroll through. Every SGT did welcome their 3 new members. Each SGT has a new parent, a new community member, and a new faculty member that has joined them this year. Because of course, those are 2-year terms that roll. Community members are always appointed at the recommendation of the principal, staff, and faculty. Sometimes it's an appointed seat, sometimes it's an elected seat, and of course, parents are always elected to their position on SGTs. And so they have established their meeting dates that will happen throughout the school year, and of course, we'll stay true to our charter, which is at least 6 meetings a year. And so they're off to a great start so far. So I look forward to giving you updates every month.
And that's 6 meetings per year for each school.
That is correct.
Board, any questions about the SGT update?
Okay, thank you.
Our community has really stepped forward with this.
Thank you.
Next up is the district health update. I'm going to ask Director of Learning and Achievement, Lucas Root, if you'll come up to the front and give us an update. Good evening, Mr. Root.
Good evening. Good evening, board. What we have here, as normal, Mr. Inslee, just go ahead and click on the website there. Right now, what we're doing, we have every Friday posting our number of our COVID-19 case numbers on our school website. Starting next week, we're going to change this routine to get a little bit more transparent in terms of how we record this data. We'll report daily, not just on Friday, so every day of the week, and we'll also report by school so that someone can log on, say, on a Tuesday and see how many, if we had any new cases of COVID-19 at any school. We feel like with the way that things are going right now, that would be something good for us to do for the parents and for anybody to see when it comes to transparency, for sure. So right now, last week, this was posted last Friday, we had 11 new cases in our student body, and then we had, scroll down, 3 employees. So that's 3 out of 465 employees, and then 11 out of our 2,859 students. What we expect to see this Friday is it looks like it's most likely going to be approximately between 15 to 20 new cases in the student body across the school system for this week. And that's in the student body, and then for our staff, it looks like it's going to be 4 new cases this week for all of our employees. So with that said, we are extremely aware that the spread of COVID-19 is highly concerning across the state and in our local community. The overall safety of our students and employees is of most importance. We are in constant communication with health officials and healthcare professionals. We are closely monitoring the situation regarding COVID-19 at our schools. Every Friday, as mentioned, we are posting to our website. That will begin Monday through Friday, starting next week. Also, every Friday, we report our COVID-19 data to the Department of Education. We also report on Friday to our health department the positive cases in our school for employees and students. So we're working very closely with our health department as well. Under our current protocols and procedures, we are noticing that students are more willing to get tested for COVID-19 when feeling ill because they do not have to fear quarantining an entire team, an entire club, or an entire group of students due to contact tracing. This leads to truer data and a clearer picture of our status when it comes to COVID-19 and leads to less kids, we feel, walking through the hallways with undiagnosed COVID-19. Just like last year, when we have a confirmed positive case in our schools, we are continuing to use high-quality fogging machines to help with sanitizing, disinfecting, and cleaning. If the time comes that we must contact trace similar to how we did last year, then it is extremely important to note that any student who is fully vaccinated for COVID-19 would be exempt from the contact tracing and quarantining process. Although we value attendance and the importance of students being in our schools every day, we do ask parents, we do ask that if your child has contagious symptoms, that you keep your child home and follow the guidance and advice from a healthcare professional or a healthcare provider. Parents have been doing an outstanding job of this school year. We also ask that you help us by continuing to encourage smart health practices with your children. Washing hands, using hand sanitizer provided by the schools when washing hands is not an option, not touching the face with the hands, respecting physical space of others, and not sharing food or drinks with others. So that's where we stand right now with COVID-19.
What is contact trace? Can
That-
you define
Contact tracing is like what we did last year with underneath the Department of Public Health. Contact tracing is when we have a positive case of COVID-19, at that point determining who all was a close contact to that case, and then those students were required to go home in quarantine, and that's how it was handled last year. Currently this year, we're working with our health department in a slightly different manner. And so that's what that was about. And you're welcome. And Mr. Rensley, the other information here from the Weather Channel that we show every board meeting. And you can see, this shows the activity in Fannin County. We had a pretty major spike, and then we are seeing that that it is starting. The trend is starting to go down there on the end of the graph, which hopefully that will continue. In other communities across the world, we have seen that the Delta variant does tend to decrease as quickly as it does spike. So we'll just have to see what happens in the near future. But like I said, we are in contact with our health officials on a constant basis to monitor the activity in our schools and in the community. On a good note, outside of the COVID-19 pandemic, we do have some good news. Like other technology, AEDs have a shelf life, and we were able to use SPLOST funds to purchase 17 new automated external defibrillators, AED machines, for our schools and other facilities. This allowed us to replace out-of-date AEDs. This purchase assures that our AED machines are currently up to date and without recall. This puts us above and beyond compliance when it comes to the mandatory number of AED machines needed. And again, this shows our continued efforts in making safety a top priority.
Thank you, Mr. Root. Any questions for Mr. Root? Glad we're able to keep those AEDs. We've used them before, and it's like any other emergency device. If you need it, you need it.
That's right. And I want to thank Denise Messer, who was a major reason we were able to get those AED machines purchased.
Anything else? Thank you. Our next item on the agenda is central office update. For that, we're going to ask Assistant Superintendent Robert Inslee to come up and present. First days of school.
First days of school, man, we're rocking it. I'm excited to be here with you today, honored to speak to you about the curriculum updates that we have for today. I started off with some pictures at each of our schools, and you can kind of see, first and foremost, we want to welcome everybody back. We're on day 10 already. It is hard to believe that we've been in school for 10 school days, but we are rocking it right along. Some of the cool things that we have is we had our open houses the day before school started, but we did have a freshman open house in high school that was actually on the 28th. So we had great attendance. We had a lot of people in the buildings. Kids were excited, parents were excited, and then we also had the opportunity to use CARES Fund to be able to supply school supplies for our kids. And so if you have children that need any kind of supplies, they just need to ask the teachers. If teachers need supplies, all they got to do is ask the principal. So those funds have been available for them. some great pictures here. This is, we've got a couple slides for each school, Blue Ridge Elementary. I mean, look at this. We got, this young lady over here, feeding chickens. Got, I think that's Mr. Ruth there in the middle, welcoming in there, and got some open house pictures. Miss Hannah Nicholson there on the left. She's Blue Ridge is a teacher this year. She was so excited about her room. She asked me to come into her room where she could show it to me and see all the things. She was so excited, ready for the kids to go. Mr. Parker there in the media center. Just a great stuff going on at Blue Ridge. Then we had some East Fannin. Look at that smiling face right there. I mean, how do you not look excited about school? We've got some little ones there on the left. I think is that pre-K, Mr. Price? I think it is. And then
They're tiny.
they're little bitty guys. And then look at that smiling face. I mean, look at they're excited to be here. That's why we're here. We want to educate these kids. We want to love these kids. We want to feed these kids. And so we're just tickled to death out of that. So, and sometimes it gets quiet in the buildings, and it's nice to hear feet coming back now. West Fannin, we had an open house. You can see several of our teachers there meeting and greeting with a lot of the parents that were coming in. Also, we got Miss Banner there. She's pointing directions which way. We got Miss Odom and Miss Shofie. And we got up here some of Mr. Banner's famous hand sanitizer, trying to get rid of it. So if you need some hand sanitizer, there's a whole case out there. Take a bottle with you, right, Mr. Guys? All right. And Miss Rice and Miss Davis down there in the STEM lab. Open house at the middle school. Teachers coming in, or parents coming in, meeting with teachers, looking for their schedules. Mr. Young, looks like we've got a band that was playing there for them as they come in, so that's pretty exciting. Mr. Young there greeting them on the first day. Look at those guys coming in there. There's nothing. I've been doing this for a long time. This is my 27th year in education, and there's nothing like the first day of school. The excitement that is in there, it's contagious. So it's awesome. We've got Fannin County High School. We've got Miss Mathis up there with some Spanish class. We've got our media center. And then we've got Dr. Ramsey, who does his meeting, which you meet with
That's the ninth grade.
That's the ninth grade, and you meet with each of your grade levels just to kind of give them expectations and those types of things they go through. And of course, our nutrition department, Miss Anderson there, who's make sure our kids are getting fed there at high school. Just exciting stuff for these first 10 days. One of the things that I want to give you an update on is the GeorgiaStandards.org. This is a website that we have that's actually on the link here. If you click on that link, this is where if you're curious about what your kid is going to be taught or the standards that they're going to have in each grade level, if you just kind of scroll down there and just pick any subject you got there, you can look. You've got computer science, you got CTAE, you got ELA, health education. Let's just say math. Go to math there, Ms. Reed. So you can see over there on the left-hand side, you can see math, and you can see K5, and you can even drill down even further. You can go here, and you can see exactly, pick by grade level, what each kid is going to be, what standards are going to be taught for each grade level in math. And you can do that for all subject areas. You can see all the different information. So it's a great website. So if you have any questions about that, GeorgiaStandards.org. Okay, go back to it. Just go back.
Bottom right.
There you go. And then, of course, we do have our parents that have portal, or what we call parent portal access or an account. This is they can talk to their child's schools and they can see their grades, their behavior, their attendance. You can talk to the parent liaison at each of your schools to find out about this very important tool. And it is very beneficial to you and for your child's success because we do need everyone. It's a team effort for us to make sure that our children are getting what they need. A couple updates on Georgia assessments. You can see that we are in the process of GKIDS, our Georgia Kindergarten Inventory Development Skills 2.0. We also, actually January, we'll have our access testing. We'll have winter EOCs coming up in December. And then, of course, we'll have the spring EOGs and spring EOCs, and we do have some local assessments in math and cadence, formerly known as DIBELS. Any questions? We're excited to have kids back in the building, and we're thankful to have them back, and just appreciate the opportunity to share.
That's right. Any questions for Mr. Henson? Well done.
License.
Yeah, don't forget those.
That's a $5 license.
You gotta keep them everywhere, so
That's right.
see you. All right. Next item is number 9 is public comment. I'm going to ask the Assistant Superintendent Darren Danner to come up. Mr. Danner, do we have any public comments?
Yes, sir. Mr. John Mason would like to speak. One item would be the critical race theory.
Okay, we'll invite Mr. Mason up to the podium, and we'll
Yes, sir.
ask Mr. Ansley to begin a timer at 5 minutes. And the floor is yours. Good evening, Mr. Mason.
Appreciate that. Good evening, gentlemen and ladies. My name is John Mason. I'm a resident of the county since '97. It's clear today that there is a blatant and concerted national assault on our founding principles. The spearhead of that assault is critical race theory, for diversity, equity, and inclusion, among other aliases. This ideology is divisive, un-American, Marxist at its core, and pure evil. Although the Georgia Board of Education, the governor, and the Georgia legislature are slamming the door on CRT, etc., it is rampant elsewhere. In our governments, in other school systems, and in the military. And what is happening in our military today is truly tragic. Its proponents are defiant, and some state school boards are overruling parental objection. And some teachers are vowing to teach this destructive ideology even against the law. Now, I know that won't happen here. My point is this, that we, who we are, our principles, our morality, are being attacked from within. Therefore, we have no choice but to engage in the battle for the minds and hearts of our young and of all our countrymen. Beware, caution you, federal dollars with evil strings attached. Dr. Michael Guadney and Mr. Mike Cole spoke at the June meeting of the Fannin County Republicans about advances in our school system. And we applaud the board's efforts as presented, especially the expansion of technical studies in areas such as welding, electrical, carpentry, and automotive. College today, indeed, is not for everyone, particularly when in more than a few institutions, higher education is less about learning and more about indoctrination. Is it not so? Because of the current ideological threat, there must be more to a well-rounded education than what to do and how to do it. There must be an education that addresses why, education that enshrines wisdom, education that equips our young with insight as to choose right from wrong, truth from lies, education that emboldens them to stand for unity and solidarity against division and disintegration. At the July meeting of the Fannin County Republicans, Coach Brian Chastain spoke about leadership. Again, we were gratified that under his tutelage, our young were being exposed to and experiencing the value of wisdom, which inculcates self-sacrifice for the good of others. Good definition of love, by the way. This community is in a unique position to foster positive change in preparing our young, not only what to think, but how to think, and how to think correctly, based on the indestructible foundation of age-old wisdom and truth. This community is in a unique position to encourage like-minded communities across the country to join in the battle to restore common sense, truth, and wisdom. This community is in that unique position because it still values common sense, decency, love of country, love of truth, and love of God, who is truth. Amid a rapidly degenerating world, is it not so? Therefore, I urge you, we urge you, to throw off any timidity in speaking of and propagating the truth. And in speaking of God, who is the source of all truth. It is time for all of us to pray boldly to God for wisdom. To honor him in public, in our classrooms, our cafeterias, our assembly areas, and on our playing fields, in spite of the unlawful demands of inept, often immoral leadership that has relinquished its duty to protect the common good. Let us fully understand that this battle has been thrust upon us. We will henceforth either respond with divine power, not our own, or be known as those who with little resistance have conceded the field to the enemy. Let our young witness our resolve, our courage, our sacrifice, our patriotism, and above all, our faith and trust in Almighty God. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mason. And Mr. Dana?
Good afternoon, board. Ton of pictures here. I'm going to keep my mouth closed unless you got questions, and just let Mr. Ainsley scroll through here. As it going this at the Ag Center, we had a wind tunnel that was donated, so we got it installed over there at the Ag Center. That's on the Fannin side off the 8th Street. Got some grass going on now, so we're looking forward to getting some things done. Blue Ridge Elementary got new parking lot stripe with some handicap that was in the wrong place that we finally got flagged out, put in the right spot. So again, just several pictures there at Blue Ridge. Drainage issue there on the playground. They've been asking for that for several years, so we finally got that done. That's the old picture. It doesn't look like that now. So that's great. That's the back hall we got painted this summer there at Blue Ridge. New carpet in the media center at Blue Ridge. This is Blue Ridge gym floor. Actually, all three of the elementary schools got their PE facilities got their floor restriped. So again, it was well needed there at all three elementary schools. East Fannin, new asphalt up there on the bus pad. Again, that got completed the day before school started, I think, Mr. Price. And so again, several pictures there. What's not on here is the awning. We've also got an awning installed. That was completed today, and then we'll get it striped as quick as we can get the contract up or get it striped there at East Fannin. So a lot of things going on. West Fannin, they did get a new awning. So again, it got completed last week, right before school started, and so again, we're doing a new parking area there for buses. Countertops are in the classrooms at West Fannin. That's in every classroom. So we got that completed. A makeshift awning in the cafeteria that crazy principal at West wanted to hide some pipes up there, so that was a makeshift ordeal. So that was pretty interesting. A middle school new striping. We did not get to put a concrete barrier there for right turn only, but again, we did get some striping done over there, and I think Mr. Young, it's working out pretty well. The contractor ran out of some yellow paint, so he's supposed to be coming back this weekend and get the rest of the curbing painted. So again, that was well needed there today. That was a before picture there, and of course the after picture. Fannin County Middle School, Bleachers. Got a tip that the bleachers were pretty bad. This is an after picture of the bleachers there at the middle school. And there's the before pictures. So we're going to probably get that on a cycle, start doing that. Probably not every year, but maybe do a rotation there of all the schools. I know the old gym at the high school, that's pretty much what they look like. So we'll get the contractor up on it during the break. This is the final product there at the high school, in the dressing room, the old gym dressing room, the other one that we didn't do last year. So that's what those pictures are. The offices there got new carpet in the old gym for the PE coaches there. goes back to the dressing room again. Ceiling tile is in, so again, these are a couple weeks old pictures here. This has been one of our special needs classroom, where maintenance guys are there. That used to be cabinets on that whole wall. So again, that's ripped out cabinets, put new tile down, and new baseboard. New intercom system at the high school. It was 12 years old and it was dying. So again, that got completed. I think it's almost 100% complete. We still got a couple of little areas there. This is the high school media center. Got the LVT there in the media center. So again, if you've not been to the high school, it looks very good. It's waiting. CTE up at the vocational building, the HVAC is about 98% complete. We're still waiting on some vent covers and things. This is at the field house, some shelving that was put up. The new gym used to be the conference room, is now 2 different classrooms. I think the whole social studies department now is in the new gym. So that whole gym is now in the social studies department. And then old gym at the high school got a new paint coat as well. So again, there are a couple pictures on it. That was well needed. Of course, we did not mess with our Confederate soldier. Again, the high school both, some new max paints, put those up. Go ahead, Mr. Winston. And then again, if you've not seen the high school old gym, it looks amazing. It looks amazing. And it had to put an old water leak on there. And that's actually at the baseball field. We got that completed as well, sprinkler system. Again, a lot of these things are a couple weeks old because of our deadlines of the board video on that Friday and everything. So again, I can't keep up. So what I'll show you next month is what we've been doing over the last 2 weeks in the facilities. It will slow down. Construction pictures again.
Okay, hang on just one second.
Okay.
Does anybody have any questions about the facilities update?
Is the gym built when the school was built?
What we're now calling the old gym?
It was built in 85.
Yeah, I mean 85.
85. High school was built in 76. Old gym was built in 85.
Any others? I just want to give a quick shout out to you and your department. That's a tremendous amount of projects and work that's completed.
Well, right before I left shop today, since July the 31st until today, 286 work orders have been completed. And that's 31 work days. That's almost 9.5 a day. So again, I'm giving guys a ton of credit. And we're still behind on some things, but again, principals know this. We try to tell them, hey, we'll get there as quick as we can. If it's emergency, we bump it up on the list, but there are some odds and ends that we got to get done. And it'll get done. It just won't be overnight.
Thank you. So let's move on then to number 11, construction update.
Construction update. This was, again, just meet with that's the HVAC engineer, that's the plumbing engineer, of course, Mike and Henry Panetta, architect there, meeting we had weeks and weeks and weeks ago. This is the transportation facility. If you've not been there lately, it does not look like that anymore. We've got a slab of concrete poured last week, and I sat out there one day for about 20 minutes, just watched them move dirt just back and forth. They had 3 of them trucks just going as fast as they could go. Still a ton of dirt's got to be done. This tells you how this picture is. That's the day after they hydro seeded. And if you've not been out there now, that grass is about knee high. I've had numerous people say, what type of grass is that? I want that at my house. You throw it out there and the next day here comes grass growing. I said, talk to the contractor. So again, that's definitely helped our erosion issue. 1.5 inches of rain last night on site, top to 10 of the day. We didn't have a single issue. I went by the river early this morning about daybreak and clear as a whistle. So we've got our drainage issue to take care of. So again, I can't keep up on the pictures on the construction site. But again, that's an after picture. There's putting a drain in right there. So that's about 8 days after the hydro seeding is done. That's what it looks like out there now. This is of course, the staff development center side. That'll be the boardroom or the training room.
You will be there.
That's where it will be here eventually. again, slab is already poured. And then, before we hit the highlights there, go ahead, Mr. Inslee, with our, Drew Watson, the president of Boyne and Watson. He wanted me to meet him out there one day, and I got tied up, and that afternoon, he said, "Hey, I got you some pictures." No, not that, it was video. He had brought one of his, people that works with him there in the office, and brought a drone up. So here's some drone views, that they took. Again, this was about 2 weeks ago, and, actually probably about 3 weeks ago. So just go ahead and scroll through there, Mr. Lindsay. Of course, that's the staff development center side. Stop right there. Down at the bottom of the road, of course, that's the Marina Drive to the right, and then that's old 76 round going to the left. The right of way up at the left, on the far left side, that's the right of way. So that's pretty much our entire property that we purchased. Property line comes roughly right through here, goes through the
Right away, the
the
power
right of way,
lines.
then it comes back down to McKinney Road is right here. That's the little, the metal building over there. So again, that gives you a good view of how big this project is.
That's Copper Basin-ish from 30, 40 years ago.
Yeah, it looks like the old hotel over there, the Sahara Hotel. That's what Dr. Walker was joking about. That's what it looked like. But that one view there was roughly at 900 feet. That drone was up there taking pictures. Just go ahead and scroll through there, Mr. Wilson. And again, this was 2 or 3 weeks ago, so it does not look like that now. And just some amazing views there, and greatly appreciate Drew and his guys coming up and doing that for us. Of course, those holes there in the transportation side, that's the lifts. And then as of today, at about 2:30. This was yesterday about lunchtime. Notice there's some columns, there's some steel being put up right here to the right past that lift. They're actually setting the third post there. And today about 2:30, okay, that's the bus garage today, or the transportation facility today about 2:30. So there's slab poured. They didn't get to move dirt today because it was too wet. So we got beams going up there at the transportation, right to the staff development facility. So those beams are going up very quickly.
And that was today?
That was today, roughly at 2:30.
Yeah, because I went by there this morning, there was just a couple, so they're moving quick on there.
They're moving quick. And just like any construction, it's gonna go very quick when all that steel gets up, then it's gonna look like, well, they ain't done anything for a month, but, it's gonna go fast and slow, but again, very excited about what's going on at the property.
Any questions or comments about the construction? It's exciting times. Okay, let's look at number 12. Now, I'm going to preface this presentation with, I will actually, due to a very 11th hour update, an approval on this agenda item won't be necessary. However, I didn't ask to amend the agenda because I wanted Mr. Danner to explain what's happening. Number 12.
The COPS program, again, that's the capital outlay project that we get state money for, that we're entitled to over periods of times and everything. The deadline to apply for the COPS application is tomorrow. So we put this on the agenda roughly 3 or 4 weeks ago. And at 8:40 p.m. last night, which is after the time to change the agenda, we got the approval from our CARES 3 money that we have requested. So we got approval for that. So we're not going to ask for COPS money. Instead of COPS money being a 40 to 50% reimbursement, the CARES should be a 100% reimbursement. So if we did the COPS money, it would have been roughly on the middle school project, we was going to get $384,000 for the I take that back. For the high school, was going to get $384,000. For the middle school, was going to get $460,000 on the $1 million project and a $750,000 project. So we've got half of it from the state, half of it from SPLOST. Now we're going to use all our CARES money, so we don't have to use that cost. Yes, sir.
Is that carryover?
No, sir. Once it is funded, even though it's not COPS money, once we do these modifications for like HVAC, we can't touch that building for modifications for 10 years.
Any other questions on that?
Is the middle school air conditioning, heating, is that involved in it?
Absolutely. Yeah, we're gonna redo the high school, other than the CTA, which we're doing now. That'll be completed hopefully by next month. And then we'll do the other remaining buildings. We're not gonna do the PAC, we're not gonna do the new gym, some of our outbuildings, because they're still, the units are still in good shape. But the high school and the middle school units are well past this time. That's why that modification on COPS is every 10 years, because that's normally the lifespan of some of those units.
Should be a good savings.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And when we do the middle school, we're actually going to lower the ceilings. You know, there in middle school, you got that big 18 feet ceilings and everything. So if we lower that ceiling, it's going to be easier to cool, easier to heat. It's just going to be more savings. So we'll pay for it up front, but then we'll see the benefit of it after that.
Any other? So I'm not going to recommend any action on 12. All right, number 13, in order to complete this project, there needs to be a CM.
Correct. Just like the Transportation Facility and Staff Development Center, we're going to choose to go to CM at risk because these are going to be major projects going on pretty much from like May 31st and try to get finished by July 31st. Trying to do a local, no, I won't say local, without doing it with a CM at risk, that puts a lot of pressure on us. So if we get a CM at risk, it puts the pressure on them. They have more areas to go to get contracted from and everything. But we have to I've got to get your approval to even pursue a CM at risk because it's the law. Is that not correct, Ms. Dawes? And because these projects will be over $100,000, we have to put it on the procurement register. We even got to put the CM at risk advertisement and things on there before we name it, even on the procurement register. So, you know, this gets approved tonight. Hopefully, we'll come back to you in October. We will have you a CM at risk name to be approved, and then we'll start actually doing the advertisements, getting ready for May. So the earlier we get it done, the better bidding, the better price we're going to get, because you're going to have, you know, a lot of people are doing major projects right now for next summer, and that's what we sort of was late on our CTA up here. So we're going to get on the forefront to get some good contractors up there.
Any questions about this process? Ms. Doss, do you have anything to add? I know you've reviewed this paperwork.
So you're gonna have to somewhat bid that out for the CM at risk. We couldn't use the guy we already.
Our CM that we're using now, when y'all approved those a year and a half ago, it was only for those two projects. And we would have put on there, if we would have known at that time we was going to do this, then we could have just named the individual projects. So yeah, the CM at risk is for individual projects, and that's why we only got these two.
Yep.
Well, it'd be a whole lot easier if we could, but it's not legal. I'm not going to do anything.
All right, Mr. Chair, I recommend approval of this as presented.
Can the chair have a motion?
Motion to approve pursuing construction manager risk for these projects.
You have a second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Denner. Next item is school quarterly financial approval. So we'll turn the floor over to our finance director, Ms. Wynn. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, Lord. So we have our quarterly reports for all of our elementary schools, which this actually gives you from July 1st of 2020 through June 30th of 2021 for all of our schools, our beginning balance, receipts, disbursements, and their ending balance. So this says we do it quarterly, but it's cumulative. So we have West Fannin there. It just goes through for all their quarterly reports, and those are closed out and put in our financial statements. And we have middle school, and then the high school, and then we'll have some GAE. And that will present all of the schools' quarterly financial statements.
Mr. Chair, I recommend approval as presented.
Can the chair have a motion to approve the school quarterly financials?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Thank you. District financial report, number 15, Ms. Wynn.
This is our district financial report for June the 30th, 2021. It's 100% of the fiscal year complete. Our local sources are at 108.82% versus 106.15% from last year. Total revenues are 105.18 versus 103.48 from last year. And our expenditures are at 91.62% versus 92.73% from last year. But I also want to point out that these financial statements are on the cash basis, that it's before accruals have been made yet. So the year's not closed out really until September, and then that's in our comprehensive financial report that I give to the auditors. So this is the preliminary report for our financial statements.
Thank you, Ms. Wynn. Mr. Chair, I recommend approval as presented.
Can the chair have that motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Okay, thank you. Next item is the SPLOST update for information. Ms. Wynn, we've got a record here.
We have a record all the time, things like $804,346.19. It is just unimaginable. And we're very, very blessed. That is a 21.2% growth from what we received in the prior year in 2020. And so currently in our new SPLOST, we've received $2,272,047 since April.
It's clear that the economy remains strong in Fannin County. Okay, thank you, Ms. Wynn. All right. Because we collected greater than $5 million last year on SPLOST, that requires an external audit. So talk to us about that, Ms. Wynn.
This is our audit engagement, and this will be our third SPLOST audit. So this is just the standard engagement letter from Audit Engagement, so that they send to us, and then we go through and sign it and send it back to them. And they will actually probably start our SPLOST audit in October. But you can just kind of scroll through. It gives you everything that they're going to determine, everything they're going to test, management's responsibilities, their audit procedures. So they just kind of go through and document what they're doing and their reporting. It's the same audit engagement letter as what we've had the last 2 years.
This is approved administratively, but we're providing you this for information purposes, and we'll certainly share the report with you when it's available. All right, thank you, Ms. Wynn. Item 18, millage.
So we have our 2020 millage timeline, which is the same timeline that you've already approved, so there's not any change to this timeline. We had done our tentative millage on July 26th. We advertised in the 5-year history in the newspaper on the 4th, and tonight is when we'll set our millage rate. And then we have our computation, our PT 32.1. We have our 10.159, which is our rollback millage rate. I do want to point out to you that on our 2020 digest, which is the very first column, last month, those numbers that were there were the July preliminary numbers from that 2020. And then we had gotten later numbers, so that's been updated to the August. But everything stays the same. The rollback rate is still the 10.159 for everything, and that's what we will adopt for.
And what was advertised in the newspaper was the current numbers reflected here, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Because we'll go to we'll see in a minute, we'll get to that. The next you have the FLPA revenue. That did not change from last month. When we presented that is the same. And then our 5-year history, what was advertised in the newspaper is the correct amount, and this is the correct amount, but in 2020, what I had last month here, in that one column that says 2020, that had the different numbers, so that's the one that changed. And that was the numbers that was based on the July instead of the August. And I do also want to thank Don Cochran and Sherry Walker and Lynn Dawson and Rita Noonan, all of our agencies working together to help check these numbers and to get our millage correct when we submit it.
E is just the manual that describes how this information is prepared, and we listed in here to archive it for this year. So this is the 23 page instruction manual from the state, which is in there for archive. So with that, gotta go back one more, Ms. Transley, go back, we'll make a recommendation.
B.
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 There you go.
Sir.
So with great pleasure, Mr. Chair, I recommend the rollback rate as presented.
Does the chair have that?
Yes, sir, you have that motion.
Second.
Third.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
That's great, thank you. Now we can go on to the sales ratio study, Mr. Ensign, number 19.
Yes, we had received this last year in July, but it was kind of late coming.
There you go.
There we go. It was late getting to us this year. So this is our 2020 sales tax ratio, which they present every year when they get it done. They had that one August the 4th. And our overall ratio is 36.54, which is in line. Is it greater than 35, less than 40?
That's an ideal range, yes. And so, Ms. Doss, do you have any other feedback that you'd like to share on this? I mean, this is a great ratio.
Oh, absolutely. And this is just for information.
This is what drives our portion to help the counties that are poorer than us. Is that correct?
I don't believe so. I think this is, the sales tax ratio is, they try to study all of the assessors to make sure that the assessor's office are correctly valuing properties, and no one's, they study the differences in those properties, and Ms. Doss might be able to explain that a little bit better, but.
I think you hit it. I mean, what you said is accurate.
We're required as a county to ensure that we report to the state and digest anything that we have assessed. We're not giving Mr. Galloway preferential treatment over Mr. Brown. And all similarly situated properties are treated the same. Best example I can give you is think of a lake lot at Blue Ridge Lake. There's an assessment for a point lot, an interior lot, which is coming down, and a cove lot. It's the same going back up the other side. And we have to maintain that ratio between 36 and 40%. And I will tell you, this past year in Fannin County, that has been a major hurdle because properties have escalated in value so much. But they penalize you if you don't stay within that ratio. And fortunately, our Board of Assessors has done an amazing job, and the staff over there has done an amazing job, and our digest has stayed where it needs to be.
So no action is needed. This is just presented as information because what happens in the county, of course, affects us with the collection. And then this is the digest for.
So the state gives us all of the digest and all the ratios for all the counties, so you can compare. But the state makes sure everybody is in compliance in doing their assessments.
Any questions about this? Okay, now that we've recommended and approved the millage, let's talk about the budget. Ms. Whit.
This is our proposed FY22 budget, which we presented and was approved for advertisement last month. I've not made any changes to this budget at all. So this is the budget to present and ask you for your approval.
And the same budget we showed last month, same budget was advertised.
It is the same budget.
Okay.
We will have amendments. You know, there's already CPAE money and other things that will have to go in our amendments, but this is our.
Happens every year.
It does.
Yeah. So, Mr. Chair, I recommend approval of the budget as presented.
Does the chair have a motion to approve the budget as presented?
So moved.
Second. Any discussion?
What is the portion for each individual student?
Like a per pupil expenditure
What
amount.
does each student cost?
I do not have a per pupil expenditure per student. They do list that on our QBE sheet, but that's not our total. And when we do maintenance effort in different times, we have a per pupil expenditure amount, so I can get you what
We can
have.
share that when it's calculated. Yeah.
Correct. Because in January, we're required to do per maintenance of effort, and then you have per pupil calculations there. But those numbers that come off this, after I get everything closed out for this year, and the state gets it, so I can give you those numbers in January.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Thank you. Congratulations, Ms. Smith. That's months of hard work. Right there.
We got a lot accomplished.
Okay, Mr. Foster, item number 21, purchase of a school bus, a bond bus.
Yes, good evening, board. We're seeking to purchase a 23 passenger special needs equipped bus. The state of Georgia gives us bond money, and it's on a ratio depending on, they have a formula, and we formulated out this year to get one bond bus. So we need to spend this $77,220, and the special needs bus is more heavily equipped than $77,220. We had air conditioning and other features, so the difference between the two there, the $29,360 would be spent out of our SPLOST revenues. Also, scroll up, Mr. Hensley, the quotation is noted here. This bus is purchased off state contract pricing. If you'll notice there, that's highlighted, that's the total price of the bus. We're purchasing it from Peach State Freightliner, Thomas Built Buses. That's our vendor, and this is a copy of directly off the state of Georgia contract website, indicating that they are hold on just a little bit further.
Keep going down.
It's highlighted there. That's them on the state contract and their number that ensures us that we're able to buy it the same price that anybody else in the state can get it for.
The state's done the bidding for us.
State has done the bidding, and also, let's go back up to the quotation here, you'll notice on the quotation, if you scroll down just a little bit there, down. I'm sorry,
I was noticing that, it says,
there it is, right there. Where it says dealer add-ons, you'll notice there that NJPA fee, that is a fee that the state assesses for managing the contract. So anytime you see that, you know that that is a state contract purchase. They get a fee, it's about 1.5%, I believe, to administer that contract, to do the bidding for us. So, it is, like I said, the state contract purchase, and I would ask to approve to spend our bond money on this bus.
Make that recommendation, Mr. Chairman.
Will the chair have that?
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? I got a question for you. Will this be equipped with, here comes the bus and all that, be up and ready? And
We will add that equipment to it. We're still currently working on the Here Comes the Bus project. We will add the Synovia, the GPS immediately. That function is up and working at this time. We're currently working to do some of the routing on Here Comes the Bus. We've had to consolidate some routes this year due to driver shortages, so that's kind of hung us up with personnel a little bit, but we look forward to getting all that turned on here real soon. And like I said, this bus will be equipped just as our big bus is.
Wi-Fi and everything such as that?
Normally we don't put Wi-Fi on special needs buses. That's agreement with technology. They're the ones that furnish that for us.
Okay.
But if we do want to do that, I'm sure Ms. Fannin we can go that route. But normally on those particular buses, because the students aren't on them very long.
Okay.
Those are some of the shortest routes in the county because we try and get those kids off pretty quick and get them home. So.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Thank y'all.
Thank you. Okay, next up, Mr. Root, 4-H agreement. AmeriCorps.
Good evening again, board. This is our 2022 4-H agreement. This is asking for your approval, hopefully, for this. And this is a very good deal. Last year, we paid $2,000 for part-time, which was close to half-time for $2,000. This is full-time for a 4-H individual for $3,000. And I'll tell you what they were able to accomplish last year. Rachel Wasserman with 4-H, and then Ashley Hoppers with the UGA extension in our elementary schools, in particular with the project that they did for the students. It was one of the biggest boosts to our STEM program, the STEAM programs in the elementary schools from last year, bar none, in my opinion. They just did an excellent job. And as y'all know, part of what is so exciting about STEM and STEAM, and I'm really excited about all the initiatives going on in all of our schools, is that what goes on in those programs, that it is not about necessarily teaching kids what to think, but it is about teaching kids how to think and digging into not just about the whats, but also digging into the whys. And so we're just really proud of what goes on in our schools with the STEM and STEAM initiatives. And this is a very big part of those. And so we're here, again, asking for your blessing, asking for your approval for this full-time AmeriCorps member to help with our schools here in Fannin County.
It's an incredible deal.
It's a great deal.
Make that recommendation, Mr. Chair.
Can the chair have that motion?
So moved.
You have a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Thank you. Mr. Root, you have an item that needs to be salvaged.
Absolutely. Board, this is a healthcare lab bed, and again, like it says, in compliance with our admin reg. This item has been deemed salvage. It has, at this point, no purpose. It's far outlived its life expectancy. It's rusted and it really, again, has no purpose and is really unsafe at this point. And so we'd like to ask your blessing, ask your approval for this item to be deemed salvage so that we can dispose of this item.
Make that recommendation, Mr. Chair.
Can the chair have a motion to salvage this piece of property?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Thank you, Mr. Root. All right, Mr. Danner, this is kind of an interesting surplus.
Property we purchased, we've got a small problem. We don't have balers, we don't have anything to bale hay on. So we'd like to declare it surplus, put it out to bid and see if somebody would come do us a service. Pay us to come get the hay. So we can't do that without your permission. If we don't do that, then we're gonna have to pay somebody to bush hog it or bale it or something like that. So hopefully we'll be doing a community of service by allowing somebody to do that. I know I'm not a farmer, but Martha says you better get this done quickly because it's not hay season. So maybe we'll have somebody that could benefit from our property.
Now, Ms. Doss has been involved in this because this is agricultural and this is a different law that would normally.
Well, the state of Georgia recognizes that Georgia's an agricultural state, and that there are times when sheriff's department, state courts, fighting a superior court, come into a product that is perishable. And so we have special rules that allow us to dispose of perishable agricultural products. And that's what we're utilizing to hopefully give somebody the opportunity to acquire some much needed hay.
So the timeline will be a little quicker on this one. We can actually advertise this tomorrow, and after 10 days, we can
It
ask.
doesn't require the normal advertising procedure, simply because crops and fields, cattle can go bad in.
Okay, and then if the board will approve it at this time, we could also then assign the winner without coming back
That
at
is
the
correct.
1 month meeting. So we can in effect advertise tomorrow for 10 days and then administratively approve.
That is correct. Again, because you've got a crop standing in the field and you want to get rid of it, you want to dispose of it in a productive manner as opposed to just letting it.
So we would rather somebody be able to get this by the end of August as opposed to getting it sometime in the middle of, latter part of September.
Correct.
All right, so with that in mind, I make that recommendation as follows, that we advertise as required by law and then approve administratively a winning bid for that.
Chair have that motion as stated.
So moved.
I'll second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Okay, thank you. Surplus equipment at the middle school. Back to our regular way of surplus.
Yeah, Mr. Young reached out to me, go take a look at the lockers there at the middle school, gymnasium and boys and the girls locker room. They've served their purpose. They're rusted. The 7 or 8 that I went and tried, I could open about 3 of them. So, and two, Mr. Young, it's a safety issue, is that correct? You get something there that doesn't operate correctly, and something might get put in there that only a certain one little kid might know how to open it up. So, ask to declare these surplus. We'll put it out to bid as early as tomorrow. We can get all the paperwork ready. We'll come back to you in September with a winning bid, if any. If nobody bids on it, then hopefully at that point we'll declare it salvage, and then we'll dispose of those.
Show us a picture. You have a picture here of what we're looking at? There you go. This is.
There's quite a few lockers. This is just one side of the lockers there. I had it exactly how many it was. There's a bunch of them. The lockers is only like 12 by 12. So
these baskets would disassemble and come out?
Vertically.
Okay.
Vertically they can, so we can sell it in one lot of all 500, or we could, if we break them up into lots into like, 15 or 20, we might get some money out of them, as opposed to coming in and say, you take them all or nothing. So yeah, we'll make it, we'll put that out there. We'll put it in different.
We'll go back to the letter though. What's our letter? Do we need to amend the letter then? Because I think Mr. Young's letter states 2 lots. That's what's being recommended.
We'll do all one room together.
All right, so 2 lots. So boys and then a second lot of girls. All right. Okay, any questions on this board? Okay, we'll go ahead and recommend to start that process.
Chair, have a motion to surplus this equipment.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Okay, so if somebody needs some hay, reach out real quick to Mr. Danner, and he'll get that advertised tomorrow, or baskets at the middle school. Mr. Chair, item number 26, executive session. I'm recommending this for the purposes of personnel, real estate, and student information.
Chair, have a motion to go into executive session.
You have that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Man, get your direction.
Continue, don't have to go.
Everybody good?
I think I was out.
Yeah, I had y'all. There you go. Ready?
Thank you.
Got a wake up machine. So.
There's your first one.
Okay, yeah, okay.
You good, mister? Do you know the password?
He's good.
She's just working on that tab already. They had it up for you. Yeah, the password, I've already put it up for you.
Thank you. You ready? Wait.
While in executive session, no action was taken, so I'll entertain a motion at this time to come out of executive session.
Second.
All in favor? But I do need to approve some minutes that we had from last time we was in executive session. And this was for June 10th. So at this time, I'll ask for a motion that we approve our minutes from our June 10th executive session.
So moved.
Second. All in favor? Turn the floor back over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Okay, so item number 27, personnel. I'll direct your attention to the personnel sheet dated August 12th, 2021. Uh-oh.
I want to pass that one.
It's all right.
I ain't gonna take it. I ain't gonna take it.
Okay, we're good to go. All right, resignations. We have two, both dated effective date 7/29/2021. One is Tina Dillingham, and the other is Brittany Johnson. Again, both resignations dated 7/29/21. Make that recommendation, Mr. Chair.
Chair, have that motion.
You do have it.
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you. Recommendation, this is pending completion of paperwork and background check. Jennifer Cooper will be transferring from paraprofessional, making the recommendation to her as a teacher effective date 8/13/2021. Make that recommendation, Mr. Chair.
I'll make that motion. Looking for a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you. We have recommendations for substitute teachers pending completion of paperwork and background check and training. Brenda Thomas and Sarah Taylor. Make that recommendation, Mr. Chair.
Chair needs that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
And we have recommendation for substitute transportation pending completion of paperwork and background check. Tina Dillingham. Make that recommendation, Mr. Chair.
Chair needs that motion.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
And recommendation for substitute clerical, Sarah Michelle Lynn. Make that recommendation, Mr. Chair.
Chair needs that motion. I'll second. All in favor?
Great, thank you. That wraps up personnel, and that takes us to comments, number 28. And to open up my comments this evening, I just want to say, first off, we get a huge shout out for Susan Wynn. There she is, Susan Wynn. Your work on the millage and planning and budget preparation is a great job. And I'm going to give you a round of applause, and I think everybody else does. We have been able to present a budget that supports a full calendar for students. No furloughs for personnel. In fact, much needed and much deserved pay raises for faculty and staff. And all of this while going with a rolled back millage rate. Well done. I want to give a special shout out to our beginning of the year convocation speaker, Coach Chad Cheatham. Chad Cheatham addressed the faculty and staff in our school district on July 26th. And, he did a great job motivating all of us, just like he does his students and his athletes. He's a great speaker, and we thank him. The open houses, principals, all the schools look great. You know, members of the district leadership team and I, we got to the 5 schools for both the open house and the first day of school, and there was a lot of preparation and hard work that had to go into making that happen.
I'm gonna mark your comment.
And principals, I commend your leadership. Thank you. Directors, a great deal of hard work has gone into getting us to a point where we could start school. For that, I say thank you. They're after you.
I'm gonna be after him.
I want to thank all of our personnel for a terrific start. Thank you. Mr. Ensley, thank you for your presentation. I enjoyed that, as well as Ms. Rieger, Mr. Root, Mr. Banner for your regular updates. Thank you. And congratulations to our nutrition team. I'd like to thank Mr. Mason for the public comment. And it's been awesome just to see all of our departments and personnel come together for the benefit of our students, because that's what it's all about. Everyone is craving normalcy. And that is certainly my hope and my prayer for this year. But the reality is we must continue to monitor health each day. Hence the modification to our report. Just like the rest of the world, we're taking this one day at a time. But thankfully, we're in Fannin County. We are blessed in this county. I'm thankful to be here.
Thank you very much. Incredible start to the year. It's so exciting to see the kids' faces and to see them back in school. And I constantly get compliments and thanks from parents who appreciated what you did last year and what you're doing this year. We know that Mr. Ruth is keeping us keenly aware of what's happening around us, and our position will remain fluid, because safety will always be our primary concern with kids. And we are so thankful for all that you do to make it possible for them to go to school and in person and be there. I'm so very thankful for our sponsor and all that it's allowed us to do. One of my best friends is visiting here. They actually have a home here now, but he brought one of his surgeon friends with him. And we were visiting with him a couple of nights ago, and they were asking about the school system, and I told them some of the accomplishments that we were in school all last year. And I said, by the way, we've rolled the millage rate back for the last 6 years. And they asked if I could bring the board down to Tallahassee for a couple of months and help them with their finances. But it's a blessing to be a part of this system. It's an honor to be a part of this system. And I also want to say that facing a little bit of a bump in the road health-wise, but that's all it is, a bump in the road. And it's overwhelming at the love and support that's been extended from our school family. And I truly feel like this is part of our family. So thank you for that. And my wife thanks you for that as well. Appreciate all that you do. You're just wonderful. It's an honor to be a part of it.
We'll say that Terry just said in a different way. I don't think I've seen an elephant fly. Kids first. God is good. Praise His holy name. That's it.
I'm going to say ditto with what's been said. Ain't no use for me to brash it out again. I appreciate everybody spend here. I appreciate all the principals taking time out of your schedule to be here. To me, that's important. That means that you're involved in everything that's going on. And
well, didn't plan on doing this, but I'm going to apologize. My new pastor didn't show up today for invocation. I'm going to introduce him anyway. Zach Kia. He is new pastor at the McKaysville Church of God. He's got married to Kimberly. Kimberly is a math educator, but she does ministry of music there. So I think they're a very good asset. They have a girl that's in the U.S. Army, 23 years old. Chance Kia, 10-year-old, 5th grade at West Fannin. So Kelsey Kia, 13 years old. She's 8th grade on the softball team. And Logan Kia, he's in the 10th grade.
He's on the fishing team, so I'm gonna give him a shout out anyway, since he was at the softball field and missed the time. So, but I'm excited he's here. He is into coaching and baseball and really wants to get involved in our community, and I think that's a plus for all of us. So, Robert, I don't think I've seen you that excited, so.
No, sir, I mean.
Yeah, you're doing Miss Welch, right?
Yeah.
But I'm excited too. My little girl is just as excited as you at the middle school, so she loves that. And every day it just escalates, and so I hope every kid gets it. Miss Wynn, thankful for what you do, but I'm thankful for what you post, because I say, so be it. You know, I believe that word, and I'm with you, sister. So we got to speak that. I curse that coronavirus every day, and so cast that down. And I'm say happy birthday, Mr. Moats, if you're listening tomorrow. So with that said, I'm just grateful to be here.
And that would also be happy birthday to you.
Hey, good day.
I'll say thank you to each and every one of you for coming out, and I'll be short since we were in executive session for that. But I did appreciate all of your presentations and excitement. I'd like to see it. Did have to make it to two of the schools for open house. It's kind of like a theme that's been going around, but the excitement in the air is great. Y'all got a great thing going on. Just keep it going. It's so exciting to be a part of it. I agree with everything that's been said. Especially what Mr. Brandon said. This is, man, I love each one of these guys. It's an honor and a privilege to be part of the system. So for that, I say thank you. Motion to second. All in favor. Thank you all again.
Louis, do you have a good night?